Hi, welcome to the quiz. You can answer along on quizalto.com, all for free. The exact URL of this quiz will be in the notes down below. Let's get started. Good luck. What happens to your AWS CloudShell environment if you do not use it for several months? It is deleted along with all data. It is archived but can be restored. It is moved to Glacier storage. It remains available with all data intact. The AWS CloudShell environment remains available with all data intact. Is AWS CloudShell a good choice for running graphical applications? Yes, it supports graphical interfaces. Yes, with additional configuration. No, it is designed for command line use. No, it only supports text-based interfaces. AWS CloudShell is designed for command line use and does not support graphical applications. Which region's resources does AWS CloudShell initially connect to? The region currently selected in the AWS Management Console. The region where CloudShell was first launched. US East, 1 by default. The user's default region. AWS CloudShell initially connects to the region currently selected in the AWS Management Console. What is the command to create a directory in AWS CloudShell? dir. New directory. Create dir. Make dir. The dir command is used to create a directory in AWS CloudShell. How do you view the manual pages for commands in AWS CloudShell? Use the manual command. Use the help command. Use the man command. Use the doc command. The man command is used to view manual pages for commands. Can you use AWS CloudShell to run Docker commands? Yes, but only for AWS containers. Yes, if Docker is installed and running. No, it requires a separate service. No, Docker is not supported. You can run Docker commands if Docker is installed and running. What happens if you close the AWS CloudShell browser tab? The session ends immediately. The session continues running for a limited time. The session is saved for later. You lose all data and settings. If you close the browser tab, the session continues running for a limited time. What is the command to list files in the AWS CloudShell home directory? List. ls. Show files. dir. The ls command is used to list files in the AWS CloudShell home directory. Which editor is available by default in AWS CloudShell? Notepad. Nano. Vim. Emacs. The Vim editor is available by default in AWS CloudShell. Is Internet access available from AWS CloudShell? Yes, but only to specific IP ranges. Yes, full internet access is available. No, it is restricted to AWS resources. No, it only accesses internal AWS resources. AWS CloudShell provides full internet access. What happens to temporary files created in AWS CloudShell when the session ends? They are archived. They are permanently stored. They are deleted unless saved in the home directory. They are moved to S3. Temporary files are deleted unless saved in the home directory when the session ends. How do you stop an AWS CloudShell session? Stop the session from the EC2 console. Use the exit command. Terminate the CloudShell instance. Close the CloudShell tab or log out of the AWS Management Console. You can stop an AWS CloudShell session by closing the tab or logging out of the AWS Management Console. How can you transfer files to and from AWS CloudShell? Using SFTP. Using the file upload/download feature in the CloudShell interface. Using the AWS CLI only. Using FTP. You can transfer files using the file upload/download feature in the CloudShell interface. Can AWS CloudShell access AWS resources in a VPC? No, it cannot access VPC resources. Yes, with the correct IAM permissions and VPC configurations. No, it requires a direct connection. Yes, but only through VPC endpoints. AWS CloudShell can access AWS resources in a VPC with the correct IAM permissions and VPC configurations. Is AWS CloudShell available in all AWS regions? No, it is available in select regions. Yes, but with limited functionality in some regions. No, it is only available in the US East 1 region. Yes, it is available globally. AWS CloudShell is available in select regions. Can you run Python scripts in AWS CloudShell? Yes, Python is pre-installed. Yes, but only through virtual environments. No, Python is not supported. No, only Bash scripts are supported. Python is pre-installed in AWS CloudShell, so you can run Python scripts. Can AWS CloudShell be used to run long-running processes? Yes, but the session might time out. Yes, it is designed for that. No, it will terminate the process. No, it is only for short tasks. Long-running processes can be run, but the session might time out. How do you check the current AWS region in AWS CloudShell? Using the AWS configure get region command. Using the AWS get region command. Using the AWS region command. Using the region command. The AWS configure get region command shows the current AWS region in AWS CloudShell. How do you create a new file in AWS CloudShell? Using the file command. Using the create command. Using the touch command. Using the no file command. The touch command is used to create a new file in AWS CloudShell. How can you access AWS CloudShell? Through the AWS Management Console. By downloading a local client. Through an SSH client. Through RDP. AWS CloudShell is accessed through the AWS Management Console. Can you install additional software in AWS CloudShell? No, it only supports pre-installed software. Yes, using package managers like yum and npm. No, it is not allowed. Yes, but only with root access. You can install additional software in AWS CloudShell using package managers. What is the primary advantage of using AWS CloudShell? Convenience of running AWS CLI commands without local setup. Increased storage capacity. Enhanced security features. Lower latency. AWS CloudShell provides the convenience of running AWS CLI commands without needing to set up a local environment. Can AWS CloudShell be used to interact with AWS resources in different regions? No, it is restricted to the home region. No, each region requires a separate CloudShell instance. Yes, but only with specific permissions. Yes, by switching regions in the AWS Management Console. You can interact with AWS resources in different regions by switching regions in the AWS Management Console. How do you terminate all processes in an AWS CloudShell session? Close the CloudShell tab. Use the kill all command. Use the terminate command. Log out from the AWS Management Console. The kill all command is used to terminate all processes in a session. Can you configure AWS CLI profiles in AWS CloudShell? Yes, using the AWS configure command. Yes, but only one profile. No, it requires external configuration. No, profiles are not supported. You can configure AWS CLI profiles using the AWS configure command. And that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone who participated. Remember, you can answer along on quizalto.com, where you can keep track of your progress and find much more quizzes. We hope you had a fun and challenging time. Until next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more. Hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as we upload. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and, if you think this video is worth sharing with someone who could benefit from it, please forward a link to them. See you next time. Thanks for watching.